In the heart of Gaza, where streets are scarred by months of conflict, a growing humanitarian catastrophe unfolds. Hunger grips the population, and desperation is etched into every face. Aid is scarce, and the world watches.
The current scheme that is proposed, the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, appears to be an attempt for Israel to be able to supply just enough humanitarian aid to keep individuals alive who are not in any way associated with Hamas and to prevent Hamas from getting any access to any relief food at all.
In places like Jabalia, soup kitchens are lifelines. Families line up daily, clinging to the hope of a hot meal. For many children, this is the only sustenance they'll receive. Mahmoud al-How, a father of 4, shares his meager portion with his children and nieces, a fragile act of love in the face of starvation.
So the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation has literally been started from scratch in a matter of days. The idea came from Israel. It has been taken over by the United States. It appears that it will be run by the private sector, including private military contractors. It's not yet clear who will fund it. It's been widely criticized by professional humanitarians because of its limited reach, because of the limited nature of the supplies that it is going to provide. And it is certainly better than nothing. Under the current situation, it is likely that Gaza will descend into outright famine, outright mass starvation within a matter of days.
Across Gaza, children queue for hours, exposed to the scorching sun, hoping for just a few spoonfuls of lentils or rice. Aid deliveries have slowed to a trickle.
The use of starvation as a weapon of war is a clear war crime. Every single child in Gaza today is at risk of famine. And what we have been hearing from the ground is absolutely harrowing reports. Families are being forced to feed their children everything from animal feed, flour ground up in sand, leaves, grass, whatever they can find just to keep their children alive. And the entire Gaza Strip is at risk of famine.
The plan, centered around the newly formed Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, proposes a distribution network of just 4 aid centers, each expected to serve 300,000 people, a far cry from the 400 sites previously managed by the United Nations.
The proposed scheme under the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation provides less. It will have, in the first phase, about 4 distribution centers, down from 400. In the second phase, it may expand that number. The ration that they are providing is less than the humanitarian ration provided by the United Nations. None of the specialized services, such as supplementary therapeutic feeding for malnourished children, are part of this package. These are all the reasons why the United Nations and most professional humanitarians are very critical of the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation scheme.
The United Nations and many aid groups have refused to participate in the new plan, saying it fails the fundamental principles of humanitarian aid: impartiality, neutrality, independence.
If there is a reduction in the number of sites where people can access assistance, that would effectively reduce or exclude the most vulnerable people in Gaza from accessing aid. How are the elderly who have been starved supposed to walk miles and miles to access humanitarian assistance? How are children who have no parents supposed to enter what may be militarized zones to collect assistance? How are people who have been injured, who are disabled, supposed to go long distances to access assistance? That's not feasible. That's not practical. In addition to that, humanitarian assistance is only humanitarian when it's delivered independent from political and military objectives.
The most vulnerable, the elderly, the disabled, orphan children may be left behind.
The current humanitarian plan under the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation appears to be an effort to feed just enough Gazan civilians so that the starvation is then targeted more precisely at Hamas and its operatives. This is an adaptation of a well-established counterinsurgency strategy used by, among others, the British in Malaya and the Americans in Vietnam to isolate insurgents from the civilian population. The Israelis are doing it in a more systematic, a much more sophisticated manner than has ever been done before. It remains to be seen whether it will actually work.
Israel defends the model. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says the new plan ensures aid doesn't reach Hamas, which he accuses of looting previous deliveries.
We're creating secure distribution points, monitored by the IDF, operated by American companies. It's about ensuring civilians get food while Hamas gets nothing.
We're going to help the people of Gaza get some food. People are starving, and we're going to help them get some food. A lot of people are making it very, very bad. If you look, Hamas is making it impossible because they're taking everything that's brought in. But we're going to help the people of Gaza because they're being treated very badly by Hamas.
Despite assurances, skepticism remains. Alex DeWall warns that the plan may be less about humanitarian relief and more about strategic control.
The Gaza Humanitarian Foundation is an attempt to provide a type of relief program that we might call surveillance humanitarianism. Israel has very good intelligence about all the individuals in Gaza, and it will screen them. And it will use sophisticated face recognition technology to make sure only those individuals it has screened and targeted are able to access the food. And the rations that it is intending to provide will be just enough to provide one family for 1 week on a minimum ration. And that should, if it works, be enough to ensure that no food goes to Hamas operatives.
UN officials have condemned the plan, saying it risks turning hunger into a weapon, a war crime under international law. They argue it forces further displacement and ties survival to political compliance.
The allegation, the claim that Hamas is stealing and diverting aid and prospering from aid has been made since the beginning of this recent war. The Biden administration investigated this, and there was no evidence of diversion at scale that they were able to confirm.
As the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation prepares to launch, the people of Gaza continue to wait, hungry, exhausted, uncertain. In this battle between politics and survival, aid becomes more than just food. It becomes a test of our collective conscience. And the children of Gaza, they remain at the center, hungry not just for food, but for peace.